I listened to you at a speech you gave, and actually you were talking about negotiation skills, and then we quickly transferred it to Brexit. I mean, this is a difficult position. The Prime Minister has to deal within her own party divisions and the EU. How does she do it? How do you negotiate the deal of a century?
With great difficulty, clearly, is what we're seeing. And I think what you've just summed up is really at the heart of her challenge, which is that, you know, when you're negotiating, you always need to be really clear who you're actually negotiating with. And of course, she's not just negotiating with the EU, she's negotiating within her party and with people within this country who all have a vested interest in what happens with Brexit. So it makes it very, very difficult to focus on actually getting the best result, because you are trying to essentially pander to so many people with conflicting interests.
Okay, is tone important, or do we put too much focus on tone? I mean, we look at these pictures where, you know, Theresa May wants a snub or she's not. Do people care about this when you're negotiating something so important?
I think we shouldn't underestimate the importance of tone and also the importance of people at the negotiation table. I am always making it clear to people that only a small part of negotiation are the facts and figures. A big part of negotiation is how we feel about the people we're negotiating with and how they engage with us. And this whole thing has been really categorised as being about bullishness and bravado and who's the top dog. And it's not helping us right now.
Okay, is it how usually deals are negotiated? I don't know whether it's M&A, but in the corporate world, is there too much, you know, I'm stronger than you, I'm going to get it, and is that why people get bad deals?
I think the reality is that a lot of enlightened professionals understand that this is a very old-fashioned and outdated way of doing business. This isn't going to get you the best possible outcome. The best negotiators leave their ego at the door and they focus on the outcome that they get, and I don't think we've seen this happening throughout the Brexit process, quite frankly.
Simon, the Tory party conference, I mean, come on, it was a strong speech by the Prime Minister, actually.
Was. And excellent dancing.
Is she back on track?
No, I don't think she is. So, I mean, Natalie's the expert here, but from my perspective, there have been three failures of the last couple of years. First of all, the government hasn't had an agreed position itself. That is essential when you're setting out to trigger Article 50 and start the negotiations. Second, the way you deal with the European Union is you put it down in text, legal text. It has been on each occasion the European Union has been the one to suggest the text, and the UK has had to respond to it. You get primacy, first mover advantage by setting out legal text. The UK government, as a general rule, hasn't done that. And finally, has it got a fallback, walk-away position that is credible? Because in any commercial negotiation, you do need that. And I made the point in an article in the newspaper a couple of years ago when we just triggered Article 50, saying, look, even if you think it's not necessarily your preferred position, you need to stake out a credible walk-away position in order to ensure these negotiations go well. The UK hasn't
But isn't that crashing out? Isn't that WTO rules?
Sure, you might not want that, but that needs to be a position crashing out where you've made the next. Look, WTO isn't a single box you pick up and put on the table. Crashing out can be ameliorated with a series of things that you can do with businesses that are impacted, with citizens that are impacted, in order to smooth that process, transition to the end state. If you haven't made those preparations, then your fallback position, your WTO crash out, does look very damaging indeed, but it doesn't have to be so if the preparations have been made, and it has to be credible. You need to spend some money in order to do that. The Treasury has been reluctant to do so.
Okay, well, what's the biggest mistake people do in negotiations? I know we're talking quite large, but actually, is there a common thread if I'm asking for a pay rise, or if I want, you know, Simon French to come back on Monday on air, or if I'm negotiating with Brexit?
Yeah, and actually, I'll just build on what Simon said, that there is such an emphasis on what happens before we get round the table. I talk about this as the discovery and the establish phase of any negotiation process. And let's be really clear, that did not happen here. And there are multiple, you know, thoughts as to why. Many people believe we didn't go down that route of planning effectively because people really never thought this was going to happen. And so what's lacking now is a whole load of, we're winging it essentially to a degree. And I'm not undermining the work that is going on within government. There's a lot of very, very clever people working on Brexit. But we lacked a whole load of discovery at the start.